Welcome to part 2 of the Kilowatt build-up tutorial. In part 1, we trimmed and painted the parts and wired components for animating electronic effects. Here, we'll get to work painting the light and dark gray detail panels. We'll attach a Panavice mount, create a base, wire the final electronics, and detail the fully finished replica. Let's continue. Let's get some masking done on these. There is a lot of paneling happening on the top. There's a lot on the bottom. It's more faint on the bottom. I've got a photo pulled up here. So there's a lot of light gray strips and a lot of dark gray strips. I know it's kind of hard to tell from this. There's a regular pattern of light gray across the perimeter. But yeah, there's a lot going on, a lot of paneling. So you can panel these with just regular masking tape. I've got a shortcut I'm going to show you. This might save you a bit of time. I've spent the last couple of weeks designing paint maps for Kilowatt. So these are available to you if you get the 3D STL file set. This will come to you as a PDF. I can give you the PDF if you order the physical kit. So LG is standing for light gray. So these are light gray masks for the top. These are edge masks that go on that perimeter, those light gray, the light gray panels I just showed you. This is a dark gray panel map. The shape here, I'll get into this in more detail as I go, but this shape is for the top cap. That circle there is for going around that top antenna area. Okay, so we have that, and then we have vertical maps. This goes on the face around the side edges. 2 maps here. And then the last one is a belly map. Just came up with this last night. This is for doing some of those panels that are on the belly. It's kind of funny. These are a little bit tan. There's light gray. There's a dark gray and there's a tan on the belly. That map takes care of that. So let me show you how to use these. This is the underbelly. You can see the dark gray and light gray kind of vertical strips. And then the bottom belly, the pan, can't see from this photo, but there is tan color. These look white, but they're kind of a tan color. So and there's darker gray. So I'm probably going to go dark gray, light gray, and a little bit of tan ghosting on some of those panels. How you'll use these is you'll print out the PDF. I've got a little 1-inch legend here just to make sure when you print it that it's the right scale. And I'm just going to cut these guys out. These don't have to be perfect. This is just sort of your rough template guide. Okay, that is for light gray. I've got a piece of 2-inch masking tape. Just put it on a piece of plastic. You want to make sure you put it on something that's not going to give you trouble pulling it out without ripping the tape or pulling out some of your material. Plastic works the best. I'm going to tack this down so it doesn't move on me. Just a couple little pieces just to tack it in place. Then with an X-Acto blade, make sure you're using a really super sharp blade. Got a couple really good ones here with sharp blades. We are going to just cut those windows out. We're not going to worry about cutting the edges out, but we do want to cut that round shape out of that end. This nice sharp X-Acto blade. And I'm not going to do all these squares for you. I'm just kind of giving you a sample. I'll do this shape here too. Whoop. Again, that doesn't have to be perfect. That's just a little bit of a guide for you. It's going to leave that little square behind, that rectangle. Just going to push that out. Ooh, boy, this is the focus challenge. When you're done tracing out all those shapes and cutting them out, label it. That's LG. for light gray, just so I can identify that later. And I've already done one of these. Okay, and that's what I'm going to do for all of the light gray, dark gray, top cap, side pieces, and belly pieces. These are all done on a laser cutter, so I'm going to be able to peel these off. And the pieces are there, but when I peel these, those will stay behind, and I'll have these nice windows. So we'll see. You can do it. You can do all these panels by hand, or you could use my little technique here. Let's see how this works. We're going to start with the belly. So these radiate out. And here is my mask. And I'm going to show you a little trick. Before I put this mask on, I'm going to de-tack it just slightly. Just on a shirt, or on your, if you're doing this, you can just use your pant leg or whatever, and just kind of get it de-tacked tiny bit, just by running it over some cloth. I would normally use my pant leg or something, but I'm doing this for the camera. So that's going to make it a little bit less tacky. It'll be less likely to pull up paint when you unmask it. So these radiate out. And looking at my reference shots, you can see they start about like this. Okay, that looks good enough for me. I've got two different masks for the belly. These are the three colors I'm using. I've got like a medium gray, a lighter gray, and just for comparison, I mixed a little bit of, gosh, I forgot what color it was. It was like a sand color from Tamiya, just to get that tan color. That's the difference between the light gray and the tan. This will be ghosted on. So I'm just going to variate these colors here. Touch and go. This is the light tan color. Okay, I'm not going to go full saturation. I'm just going to ghost these on. Make sure that paint mask is pushed down really tight. Okay, and then I think while I'm here, I might give it a little bit of one of these panels. I think I might do a darker gray. Okay, so this one, I think I might make this guy slightly darker. So let me cover these two up, and let's just see how this looks. With this one being just ghosted real light. I'm going to peel up my side masks first. We're going to be using those today over and over and over. Okay, let's see how this looks. I'm going to be real careful peeling these up because I'm going to use them again a few times. Just going to move them. Okay, so that one comes up. That goes over here where it's not going to be messed up. This guy. And there is our first session. Real subtle, but I like it. I'm using those same two panels. I've got this section and this section masked off. I'm going to go with this dark color. I think I'm going to make all these the dark. Real subtle. You're not going for a whole lot of drama on these. It's a cumulative effect. Okay, I think I'll go one more pass with a tan and light gray. This is light gray. And you know, so these, you could do a little thing here. I'll do this one in the light gray. I'm just using this as a mask just to kind of break that up. I'll make that one the tan color. But I can use a mask, a piece of plastic like this, if I wanted to vary up this a little bit. Like say I didn't want, so it's not repetitive, say I don't want that one, this one strip right here, I'm just going to cover it up. so it's a little bit different. If I wanted this long strip and this one to be shorter, I can cover it with this. Or you can use an additional piece of tape. Now I'm going to have a little bit of a difference here. This is going to be a short one and then a long one. I've got my airbrush tuned really low pressure because I want more control over this. This one I'm going to make tan. And over here, I'm going to grab a quick piece of tape, cover that, and use this to block that. Low pressure. Tan. I can use a hair dryer to make this dry faster, but I'm finding as I clean my airbrush out, it gives this all plenty of time to cure up. Let's see what we got. I'm being really careful with these masks. Because this, you don't have to just use these on the belly. We can reuse these for a different pattern on the lid if we wanted. So I am storing those off to the side as additional resource. Just be careful. You don't want to rip these masks up because of all these little windows. Just go slow. I'm using those same two belly masks. But I blocked off one of these, and I blocked off half of another one on this side. And over here, I'm just using one over here. Same mask, just I'm making them look a little different. Varying this up a little bit. These are going to be dark. I added a touch more black to my gray. I felt like my darker gray was a little too light. Okay, and then we got this guy here. As you can tell, I'm not being too anal with the placements of these. I'm just going for the general look. Next, I'm doing these vertical masks. These are slanting down a little bit. You'll see when you lay it on because it's on a curve. There's one way to put these on. And we're going to get some dark, light, and a little bit of tan across this edge, the outside edge. Dark gray. I think I'll miss those two, and those will be a lighter color. Let's get these two end guys, and maybe these two guys, and then lighter, 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 and lighter. Let's change it up. Real lightly, I'm going to ghost a couple of these with this tan color. Alright, I've gone around a few times. Just for a little more variation, I'm using a mask that's actually designed for the top. I think it's one of the dark gray masks for the top. But I'm just going to just give it a little kiss here. I've got some tan colors, I've got some light colors, I've got some dark gray colors. Funny thing about when you paint over silver is the colors change. So if I angle it a certain way in this light, you can see the lighter colors a little more prominently, and if I kind of change direction somehow, you can see the darker panels. See, that's the lighter panels, but if I do this with the light, you can see the darker ones more. Interesting effect. Let's move on to the cap. I have got the light gray panel. You can see the curvature here. That's this. That curves around that flat area. And I've also got my edge panels. This curve matches the outside curve. I made 4 of these. Again, I'm doing these on the laser cutter so I can whip these out. The outside is really easy. These are just light gray. The light gray color. This one's back and forth. Light gray to the dark gray. Okay, light gray. And then I'll switch over. I've got this labeled DG, dark gray. And then I'll give these a rotate. I'll rotate these around to the next section on the rim. Keep on trucking. This is my last mask here before I start the slope. Alright, we have the edge finished. We have the cap finished. I did it off camera, but I've got some variations here on this cap, some light and dark grays. And we are moving on to the slope. And you'll see that there's a curve on some of these. There's a curve here that matches that curve there. Looking good. You see, it's funny on camera and in person with light. You see how these are dark? They look kind of dark. Well, they're not really. They just kind of go away when you move position. Same with this guy. Watch that square right there. Like it's dark, and then from another angle, it's gone. It's kind of lighter. It's interesting play of light. Anyways, I'm doing one more thing with this mask. If you remember the edge masks, these guys, the ones with the curved edge, I blocked off the ends. I'm using the squares only, and I'm touching these, just barely touching on the tips, on the edge of that perimeter, and I'm just putting them all around, because if you look, you can see these squares here, 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 here. They're kind of all the way around. Let me talk for a second about your different options for mounting. There's a few different ways you can do this, or you can just come up with your own new way. This is a mount plate. This ships with the physical kit as a laser cut part. It's also vector files and a 3D part, and files for cutting this in aluminum if you wanted to, in with the digital version of these kits. So this guy, I'll show you, nests here. There's these two front tabs. Let's get this better here. I've got two shapes here and a shape here. They nest just like that. So what you can do is you could mount it to the bottom if you wanted to, or you can use these optional pieces. There's 4 pieces here. What you would do is mount this to the top and slide these guys in here, and if you notice, there's room for a magnet at the ends of these. So 2 long ones in the front, 2 short ones in the front, 2 long ones in the back. These each have room for a magnet, and those correspond to the magnet holes that are in with the casting. 1, 2, 3, 4. That holds the bottom in place with magnets. I'm not doing it that way. You can do it that way if you'd like. There's another option of using this medallion. This would mount to the bottom here, corresponding to those holes. Okay, so that corresponds there. If that's there, you can bring a rod straight up through the bottom of the model, and it would mount into that hole. So you've got a bottom mount. What I'm going to be doing is mounting with a pan of ice mount, and let me show you the different options I have for that. I have 3 pan of ice mounts I can choose from, and you can get these on Amazon. These are just standard Amazon pan of ice mounts. They make these for mounting cameras, cell phones. You can get a lot of different varieties of these. So I've got a short guy, a medium-sized guy, and then a long guy. This is a really cool one. This is adjustable height. It telescopes. This is full in and that's full out. This one has a thread here at the end. And I don't believe this came with the kit. This is just from Home Depot. It's a little coupler. Little thread coupler. You can put that at the end of that, and then put a piece of all thread out of your model so you can mount it sideways. I can adjust this up. So if I wanted to mount the model from the bottom straight up, that is a cool way to do it. Today, what I'll be doing is using this medium one. Really nice mount, fully adjustable at the top, at the bottom. And what I'll be doing is mounting this Kilowatt at the back from the bottom. Let me show you how. And I shaped just a piece of wood. This is just a fence board. I think it's pine. And that's going to nest right here. So those screws will have something really meaty to bite onto. And my first step for doing all that is to epoxy this piece of wood into that opening there. I'm still going to use this inside plate. It's going to help me organize my wires. And you might be wondering about these 3 holes. 1, 2, 3. These 3 circular holes. Those are registration pins. These guys will glue into these 3 holes. And they serve as registration. So imagine those are glued in. They're just going to fall out if I leave them here. But that's going to show me that these 2 are going to lock into these 2 holes, the back one to that back one, and that registers this key to fit the antenna. You can see that really specific shape to that specific shape. There's only one way that goes on. There's only one way this orients. Easy peasy. Okay, there we go. We are fully mounted. And the cool thing with that pan of ice is I can pitch this left, right, forward, back, angle it. A lot of flexibility in that mount. Okay, let's go for assembly. I'm going to put a few dollops of adhesive, maybe in about 4 points on that ring, just in case I need to replace electronics on this later. I can pop it out really easy. When you install the eyes, make sure that your wiring is inside of that U channel. There's a channel there on both sides. Just so you don't want your wires being in the way while you're adhesing this. So this nests right into that opening perfectly. You see it keys in, fits just perfect. Okay, so a couple drops of super glue on that, and that'll take care of him. There's a little, it's hard to see it now because it's all painted, but there's a little half moon shape right there, and that just nests right there. I have my arms fed through here. You can see there's a little key here for the arms. Make sure that you get the left and right correct. Here's the face, and you want that fatter tube to be facing forwards, down and forwards in the front. The skinnier tube in the back. So a couple drops of CA on there, hold it in place until it sets, and I've got 2 arms. So this isn't too bad. I've got 2 lights for the arms, 2 lights for the eyes, 2 blinkers, a center light for the bubble, and a ring light. So this isn't terribly complex. I'm just going to start joining all of my positive wires and then all of my negative wires. So I'm just going to start feeding everything together, and then I'll solder that joint so it's solid, and then I will solder in another lead that's going to pop out of the bottom of the model. Okay, we've got power source ground, power source hot, and wish me luck. Yes, beautiful. I decided I'm going to run power through the bottom of the model. Cable's going to come out through that bottom. I'm going to run power on this AC adapter. I've got one of these female plugs, and I'm going to embed this so it's just barely sticking out of that surface, and then we'll just connect it and run power through that adapter. So I decided that I'm going to bring this plug in right next to this mount. Just give me a little space here. Yeah, this will work right about here. I'm going to go all the way through this and all the way through the wood so I can see from the other side where to hog it out, because I'm going to need to widen up that hole so that fits in. And I think what I'm going to do here is put in this on-off switch, and I'll put it right behind it. I'll put this little on-off toggle right there. This is one of those pre-wired on-off switches. I'm just testing out these lights to make sure everything is on before I tidy up this wiring and connect it to its final power source. Okay, we got it. We've got power now coming through the adapter. I've got my on lights, I've got my nav lights. As nice as this all looks, we are still not finished. I'm going to add a little bit of weathering to this. And I noticed looking at some of the photos that these little squares, there's 4 of them, they're a little bit of an off color, an off gray blue, silver gray blue color. You're going to see me talk about this in future tutorials. This is a Pontiac engine blue. This is the color for Flotsam. You can also see it on Weems. And a really hard color to get. This used to be a Model Masters paint. It's discontinued. I found a clone of this on eBay. MCW finishes. This is the exact correct color you want. Just adjusted with a little bit of silver. I'm going to mask off these 4 squares and barely ghost them with about 50-50 this with silver. Just barely kissed on. I feel as though I got a little oversaturated with my dark paneling, the dark stripes. They look kind of like tiger stripes to me a little bit in person. So I'm going to desaturate those a little bit using my base, that base aluminum color. And real carefully, I'm just going to kind of block off the eyes, and from a really far distance, like a foot or 2 away, I'm just going to dust those tiger stripes. Just kind of make them fade into the surface a tiny bit more. So I like that. They're still there, they're just a little less prominent, a little less saturation. Gonna get, you can see, I don't know if the camera can pick these up, but I've got 2 that are here. They look great. They're a little dark, a little too dark for my taste, so I'm gonna come back at a distance, dust. That's it for those. Maybe just one more little, from literally I'm 2.5 feet away. These guys, just a touch. I'm going to do a tiny bit of weathering on this. You can see where I masked off here. I was doing a little experiment on this piece. And I'm going to kill down this, the shine a little bit. I mean, I barely went on here, but you can see my division here. Because this guy really isn't super shiny. He's silver for sure, but he's not gleaming. I may go in now with black, just a straight black, watered down, thinned down quite a bit, kind of smoky. And I may do just a little bit. I notice it's a little bit kind of a grainy, a little more weathered on the bottom and a little grainy. So I'm going to turn up the air pressure on my airbrush. Maybe a little bit on the ring. Not too much, go real subtle. With this smoky black, I gave him a little bit of contrast behind his eyes. Just to give him a little bit of smoky eyes here, a little more contrast. Last oil wash, I'm using Lamp Black Artist Loft oil paint. Oil flows just a bit better than acrylic paint or lacquer. It's just a way better wash than anything I've ever used. And I'm just going to dilute this down with a little solvent and just give this a wash. The Q-tip is also very handy to wipe this excess away. This piece is super detailed. What a cool thing to paint. I'm going to totally get into some of these undercuts. This is an impossible piece to mold. You would not be able to mold this. This is a 3D print. It's the only way to make a part like this, besides scratch building it from 50 parts. Yes, look at that. I'm getting that pop I want. I've got all the lights on. I've got that spinning effect. Arm lights. You get the eyes nice and bright. Yeah, really happy with that. Look at this. That was not a terribly difficult build. Still recommended for the advanced builder. This is available now as an STL file set. I also offer a physical kit if you don't want to print this. The parts are pretty big. You need a pretty large printer to get this going. And I'll leave links in the video description where you can learn more. And that's it for this tutorial. I hope this was helpful. This was a 3-day build for me. Speed build. Look for Voodoofx's tutorial coming soon, where he's going to be doing all these lights in a little more finesse, a little more controllable, and most importantly, he's doing fiber optics. So each of those little lights on the sides here are going to light up individual fiber optics. Okay guys, thanks for watching this video. Really excited to get this one done, and I am moving on.
Thanks for watching this Kilowatt tutorial. There's lots more coming, including all new, retooled baby robots. So click that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified when that content goes live. Thanks for watching. Take care.